right. Hey guys, welcome to an episode of Fireside Chats with Dan and Jen. Hey Dan,
Hey, how you doing, Jen?
I'm doing pretty good today. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's good to be here. I have a,
It is really good to be here.
I have a good
Me and
to
Dan
laugh.
have been, yeah, we got Willie with us, and my two, Aquarius and Luna, they are lounging, but they may join us later or not.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, we'll see if that does. And me and Dan have been doing some talking behind the scenes, and we do a lot of videos on what human design is. Um, Now we're doing videos on what it's like to get a reading. And I told Dan, I think it's important that we really talk about solutions and give you guys some information on how to really start to live your design.
This is what to
So
do. Yeah, there you go, Willie. This is a great place to start, Jen. I think people and just the way we've all been conditioned on this planet and all the stuff that's sort of riddling through us, keeping us away from our nature, all the forces that seem to come in on us and tell us too much stuff. And then we get stuck in this too much stuff zone. So that's a big spot where I think people can start to recognize I have too much stuff. I think there's some real simple ways to just see things without having to go into a whole long discussion about, you know, human design or mechanics or any of that stuff.
exactly, because having too much stuff affects everybody on this planet, whether you are aware of your design or not. Getting your human design read or session with Dan really helps you understand yourself at a deeper level so that when you have this too much stuff or living in the container that we currently are living in, which can be stressful, getting a human design reading can help you navigate it better. But when I was talking to Dan about this, we have really deep conversations on the phone. And both of us sometimes we sit there and we're like, we need to let the world know these type of things. So these fireside chats
They're going to
are
go
really
a
going to
long
be,
time.
yes, they're
Yeah, I like this, Jen. This is helpful.
they're yes, they're going to be based around deep wisdom, solutions, tools to help you not only in your life but also within the human design process, and yeah, whatever else transpires from this. So I'm super excited to be diving into tonight's conversation, which is going to start off with how are we conditioned and programmed in the first place?
Yeah, and how it stays there for so long. Isn't that so insidious? And it deepens. It deepens and it seems to fracture us from the reality of what we truly are.
Yes. Well, it's deep-seated stuff. I did put together a small presentation, which we'll go over here in a moment, but it's deep-seated in us, in our subconscious. And there's so many tools out there that can help people get to the core of that. But in this video, I kind of want to give you guys some tools that even if you are aware of your human design or wherever you are on your journey, these are things that you can start to look out for so that you can deprogram yourself. Deconditioning, deprogramming, it goes, every human on this plane of existence needs to start deconditioning and deprogramming from the matrix. And I think anybody who's been following us, that's what we're doing. We are
Yes.
breaking out of the matrix.
Let's liberate these souls. Let's liberate ourselves with them and let's liberate us. Us is a thing.
Mhm.
Us is a body. It's a thing. Your default microphone has changed. I don't know if that was
Yeah, you popped for a moment, but now I can hear you.
back in. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, what was I just saying, Jen? I hate it when I get pulled off track.
It's okay. I got pulled off track too.
It's okay.
Yes. Fireside chat. So
First one.
but
From
diving back into tonight's conversation, how are we conditioned and programmed?
the split from reality, Jen. That's one of the ways. The split that deepens. It keeps deepening and widening and pulling us away from our nature. I think by now we've all, wouldn't you say we all, okay, I don't know who we all is, but it's you and me anyways, and many like us. Wouldn't you say that we've come to the conclusion that we're not supposed to be living this way? We're not supposed to be thinking this way. We're not supposed to be trying to control things. We're not really we're supposed to be sort of witnessing this whole thing and having a very, very different view of it all as it relates to our part in the machine and how important things that really aren't important. Back to the too many things that don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Plaguing. I'm pretty sure we as bioorganisms are just weighed down with the sheer enormity of this Maya, the denseness of it all. That comes in a lot of words, a lot of books, a lot of things, competing and conflicting concepts. It piles up. And
It does.
and on the psyche, it seems to literally just take the whole body's awareness off grid. It goes off track, and the body's awareness is no longer steering us like it's supposed to. And then suddenly we stay here, and the split gets bigger and bigger. It's the same split, it just keeps getting sort of more entrenched over time. And what to do in the conditioning field? I mean, some techniques. It would be nice to talk about techniques. Do you have one?
Yes. I'm going to share my screen real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. I put together a small little presentation. I love presentations because it helps me stay on track. And so this afternoon when I was because I approached Dan on this of doing these videos, and I didn't really have a topic, and it just kind of came in. And since I am in my deconditioning process, even though I've been deprogramming myself for about 5 years now, which we'll talk about the different techniques and the coaching that has helped me through my process of deprogramming. But through human design, I'm working on embracing 28-day periods and living within my design. So I'm getting off track of why I was saying that, but yeah, I put together, the information came through, and yeah, it's amazing when you kind of let go and you get out of the law of memory and data, and you just let your design do what it's supposed to do. The information comes when it's needed. And that's exactly what happened this morning. So how are we conditioned and programmed? Well, most programming happens within the first 7 years of our life. And we talk a lot about being the 5-year-old, because the 5-year-old is at that age where they're able to communicate, they can say things, and they are really authentically on how they truly are. In human design, when you talk about the 5-year-old, can you give a little deeper explanation of that?
And I'm reading your bullet points for the first time. This is really good, Jennifer. I love it when you do this stuff. The 5-year-old is just it's almost too easy of a concept in a way. It's this recognition we all have that when we were young, things were perfect because they were. We were ourselves. But the disconnect that keeps getting hijacked out of us that says, oh, you can't have that. When the truth is, yes, you can. It doesn't, there's no law, there's no rule that says it must be clawed away from you, well, after you're 5, and between the age of 5 and 12. By the time you're 12, we'll get most of it clawed away from you, and inertia will do the rest,
Yes.
And never mind inertia, they keep piling on. So it's not really inertia. They keep that motor running, and they really do. So the 5-year-old is the agent inside of you that always knows your truth. It's that simple. The 5-year-old is right as it relates to what's true inside.
Exactly. So, and when I do a lot of with my clients doing inner child healing or doing that inner work, It's all about getting back to your 5-year-old.
Hmm.
Because that is where, that's that inner child of going back to the core of who you are. We get conditioned and programmed. Yes, it happens in the first 7 years of our lives, but it can happen throughout our lives until we are consciously aware of how it is happening. And that's where I really want to set the beginning of this series up. Because I think it's important that we take notice to this, because if you're going through a deprogramming or deconditioning process, you need to be aware of how you are being conditioned in the first place.
Right.
Well, a lot of us, right off the bat, it has to do with the parents, grandparents, family, and friends, like our environment, the container that we are living in. Imagine the kids that have been born during this whole thing. I want to use key words, but process
In the
that's
last few
happening in the
years,
world stage. Huh?
in the last 2.5 years.
In the last 2.5 years. Some of them, they have been quarantined. They don't even know how to have an interaction with other people because their parents have kept them locked up. That starts a conditioning process. Going through traumatic things, like with my own healing and healing with clients, it is going back to those core things that we were taught when we were younger that happened with our family. I feel like the next level would be school and authority systems. That is constant. The authority systems, especially up until our adult years, so many people are conditioned to follow the authority. I had this realization today in the grocery store. We have Kroger's here in Texas, and I think there are some parts over the nation. And ever since the past 2 years, they have started this thing where, you used to be able to go in any door and go whatever way. You can't do that now. Now they have this automatic bar thing that you walk through. But I walked in and I grabbed a hand basket, and I decided that I would needed a push basket. So I couldn't go back through that door because guess what? It set off an alarm. And I sat there and I was like, oh man, if I really want to make the matrix glitch, I should go through the opposite direction because I saw somebody do it and I've done it before, and I've had a manager approach me and tell me I have to go the other way. What sense does that make? That's the authority system. But they have programmed people to now do that. It's like a herding thing. So it's that authority systems, it's the environment that we're living in. You're still being conditioned and programmed to do a certain way. We saw that with the
Yes. Yes.
it's quick.
Yeah.
And people are still out of
Masking up.
fear.
Yeah.
And
All
how
over.
do they do that? That goes to the next one: movies, TV shows, social media, news stations, podcasts, radios. It's constant. With kids, the first 7 years, the toys, the clothing, the books. We're seeing a lot of the programming and conditioning, what is currently happening with our children, and billboards and marketing. I put some of these on here because I really want to dive into the next slide, that some people are not realizing why and how this happens. Okay. What you're consciously aware of really is only 10%. And that's not even where all the magic is happening. All the magic is really happening in your subconscious, because what you're not aware of through all of the billboards, through all of the listening to podcasts, the stuff that you're not consciously aware, your subconscious is picking up. And when your subconscious, when it gets impressed and implanted into your subconscious is going to start calling that to things, attracting those type of situations to you. It's going to be a natural reaction for you to do these certain things. That's why some people now, when they I see it here in Houston, as soon as they go outside, even though we are not under a mask mandate, their first reaction is to put on a mask. Well,
Right.
why is that? because they have already impressed their subconscious with that programming that they have to wear a mask, that it's just a natural reaction like breathing.
Jennifer, I see something seems very clear at this moment. You just brought it up. This fracture that I was referring to earlier, that's keep getting wider and wider. It's a fracture from who we really are, was what one of the things I said. But think about who we're talking about. We're talking about this limiting belief and this limiting old way that we think is still what we think. That's part of this chasm, this fracture that it looks like you look at yourself and the mirror breaks and now there's two of you and it looks all psycho right through your face. That's what it feels like.
Yes.
We're speaking to that old way. That simply put is still a hangover. It's still lingering. Never mind lingering, it's still suppressing. It's a heavy, dense fog still. We're in the fog of the old way.
We are in the fog. But the good news is that, you know, right now, because people are waking up, because people are deconditioning, and what's happening on the world stage, people are learning that the environment that we live in is not it's not the environment that we grew up to believe or were conditioned to believe. You know, people are having that self-realization about those certain things.
Wow, I mean, that is a lot. We you know what, inside of all of this whole 10%, 90%, all of these things, we should always, maybe as a strategy and a tool, always keep in mind, is this the 10% and the 90% of the old way fog that still fills our lives? Or is this, when we're talking about it, are we slanting now to the 10% of our brain that we use when we're awake and the fog has cleared, and the 90% that our body's doing all the work, and the 10% that our brain is just sort of aware of, that it's calculating and conducting logic processes and so forth? Yeah, that old way is differentiated from our new way. We should probably keynote some of the ways in which that's true.
That's a way to do that. Let's talk about, before we start getting into the keynoting, because I want to talk about like the 10% and the 90%, since we're doing that.
Okay.
That 10% of what people, you know, in the conscious mind, the movie Lucy was great. I loved how they put that, because when your conscious mind, it analyzes, it thinks, it plans, and it's the short-term memory. That's, you know, what you are aware of. The subconscious mind, the 90%, that's the long-term memory. That's the emotion and the feelings. Okay. The habitual patterns, the relationship patterns, the addictions, the body functions, creativity, development stages, spiritual connection, and intuition. So your conscious is your logic side, and your subconscious is what deals with the images and the emotions. Okay. Your the conscious, I believe, is the left side of the brain, and the emotions is the right side, which the left would be the divine masculine, and the right would be the divine feminine.
So funny.
I want to, when you guys, just to give you things like movies and TV shows, the symbolism, okay, all of these things with the subconscious mind, you get programmed just like by pictures, all those sort of things. It's amazing how much gets through. I started to recognize this. I'll share this. So anybody who knows me or my background story, I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I was really, really bad alcoholic. So when I first got clean, which I'll have 6 years in October, I went to every alcohol ad on my Facebook. You know how they constantly bring up ads, you know, because they listen. This goes into the programming and the mind control, how you can say something, not even to your phone, and the next day an ad pops up because it knows that you're looking for it. Right. I blocked all of that, unfollowed, Budweiser, whatever. I didn't want any alcohol ad. As soon as it did, I reported and made sure it didn't pop up. I started to notice that out of the blue, the ads started popping up. And I thought, okay, they just messed with the algorithm and I was blocking it. And it's not that I entertain the idea of having a drink, because I don't have a desire to have a drink. However, I entertain the idea out of the blue. It just popped in one day after some of these ads have popped up. And then this was after I had 3 years of sobriety. I entertained the idea of maybe going out one night, okay? Not having a drink, not even going to a bar, but just going out into a social setting where I knew people were going to drink, where I had no desire to do that in the past 3 years. And I had to stop myself and ask myself, where did that come from? How did that come up? Well, it came up because they were putting ads on my page that I had just been seeing, and my subconscious picked it up, which then triggered long-term memory, triggered emotions and feelings, and had my subconscious start running that good feelings of the good times that I had. Now, the old alcoholic would have entertained all of the good times. Oh, it's so much fun to go have a drink with my friends and this and that. But the alcoholic in me played the tape through the end. I know how that scenario would end. Even if I wasn't drinking, I still didn't need to be there. But that's an example. And I feel, that just kind of like channeled through. And I think it's important that we do talk about that, because that is a way on how they program and condition us.
It seems like a totality, Jen. So to help us all like have it be easier, right? Always looking for ways to condense it. Have it be easier might be to look at it like, as soon as you feel like that's it, even a little bit, assume that it's that way a lot of it. Just assume it. It's like, as soon as you know, there's already so muchness that the second you get caught up and you start to realize, I think I'm being shifted here where I don't want to be, just go ahead and recognize that the totality is constantly there with too much stuff to think about, asking you to be the old way. Remain the old way, the old hierarchical way. We want to control you.
Yes. So let me ask you this, because the next slide talks about the deconditioning process. Okay. So in human design, when you get a reading and you find out that what you've been told your whole life, which the basis of what we've been told our whole life is that we're all the same, we all do things a certain way. We are put in to a category, to be just like the other person or work the same way and all this, learn the same things, even though we're not. We're unique individual people that do something that contributes to this plane of existence. So in human design, I forgot where I was going with that thought, just left.
Yeah, I think you were trying to get at, you were just asking a question about in human design. It was going to be something to do with the deconditioning process.
Yeah, okay, yes. So when they get their reading and the subconscious realizes that they have to go through what is called the deconditioning process.
When the subconscious realizes it in design, when the unconscious realizes that it's going to get into this human design process, it's happy. It's the personality that's afraid. It's this old way of who we think we are. It's afraid because it's built on a house of cards, this old way that crushes down on us. That's why, hey, as soon as there's too muchness, that's the old way. Never mind identifying it, just that's the old way. Walk away from it and just see how that feels. Suddenly you'll be like, oh, that feels good. Well, welcome to the new way. And again, just a slight, what is that? That's just one turn, half a turn of a screw is all that person had to do to basically recognize, oh, that's too muchness. Instead of, oh my God, it's too much. Let me dig in and how do I fix it? It's, oh, no, that's just too muchness, period. And that's obviously the old way. Just the old, and it conditions us to keep wanting to basically be something else. So to me, It sounds like, it always seems like, and every time I read for somebody, it's their personality. It's that who they think they are person hasn't really met the other side fully. It's
Correct.
that person, that piece of the holistic being that is really having the problem with it because of, like you said, lots of memory, Jen.
It's a lot of memory and data.
Memory data. Yes.
Yes.
That's a
And
lot of
that's,
data. Holy cow.
well, one of the tools that I have been utilizing and that I want to talk about, in these videos is mindfulness has helped me in Ho'oponopono. Outside of doing deep shadow work and inner child healing and all of those other things, you can do quantum hypnosis. There's all sorts of different good tools to use for the deconditioning process. Ho'oponopono is one of my favorite ones to do because I love how Dr. Lynn talks about, in the mind, you can only operate out of two aspects, and that's either out of the law of memory and data or the law of inspiration. And in the law of inspiration is you acting in accordance to your design. It is being in tune with your higher self and carrying out what you were created to do. And how to know what you were created to do, you can go in depth by getting a human design session with Dan. So the process of the deconditioning, what is the deconditioning process? In human design, it describes the processes we go through as we align from our form conscious and begin to release the mind gripped over attempting to direct and control our life. So that's not always easy to do. I know for me, one of the things that I recommend for any of my clients to start on this is pay attention to your triggers. Your triggers are going to be your deepest healers. They're actually going to be your best gurus out there. At the end of the day, I'm a firm believer that you are your own damn guru. And the more that you awaken and you start to pay attention to what your body is telling you in your own existence, and you pay attention to the key signs, then, you'll start to really start to see who you truly are in life in a different way.
Jen, let's talk about that slide for a minute. Because do you mind if we dissect some of this verbiage for just a moment?
Yeah, go ahead.
It might help a lot of people. So deconditioning, the human design system deconditioning described as the process we go through. So let me just start with that. The process we go through as we align with our form's consciousness and begin to release the mind's grip over attempting to direct and control the life. So isn't that saying that there's two of us? Isn't that sentence is literally describing the binary, the duality of us? The mind has a grip on what?
The conscious mind has the grip.
That conscious mind has that grip on what? On the form's consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So then there's two consciousnesses. Is it that simple? It's that simple. I mean,
yes, you can. Yes, you could look at that.
It mandates one has to get along with the other, doesn't it?
To bring harmony.
Yeah.
Yes.
The original love affair, in a sense. I love myself so much, I got along with the other consciousness.
I do. I've had to come to peace with the other consciousness because I realized that this 10% was really ruling my life.
Yes.
Sounds
like the elite class.
Yeah, even though the 90%, I mean, it was too, these long-term memories and these emotions. And like we've talked about it, and I'll be open. I mean, I'm a 5-1 profile. And the more that I realize or learn about this profile, anyone who I've listened to or come across that the 5-1 profile has some form of like PTSD in there because of the backlash that they get, the heretic side. Probably all fives have that actually.
Yeah.
But and
But
when
the
you don't,
personality deals with it, Jen, in your case.
right.
10% is what's dealing with that fifth line that you just referred to, the heretic.
And what percent?
That 10%, that conscious
Yes.
10%, that's in this graph, it's that 10%, that is that fifth line.
It is. And what did I tell you the other day? That I came to it was an epiphany in a moment because I was doing some Ho'oponopono videos, that I am letting that memory that triggers these emotions that are not good. I don't like them. It does not bring me peace for my design. And so I do everything above and beyond to avoid it. But at the end of the day, I'm still letting that memory and data rule my life
By having you actively avoid it.
Yes.
Right. So coming
Yes.
or going, we get it coming or going if we don't, right, if we don't wake up.
Yes. So I can't, but I'm at the point of my journey that I can't, I letting it rule my life is really becoming crippling.
Right.
So realizing this, if I was not aware of the subconscious mind, what it was really doing, it was really pulling up these long-term memories that got impressed when I was, young trauma that happened to me from I started in kindergarten. I mean, as soon as I got into school, I was bullied and ostracized. So and when you're that young, you don't really know why it's happening. So it's just something that's followed me throughout my whole life. But that's something that was deep seated, ingrained into my programming.
Right.
So I love this. I did a video a long time ago on the stages of deprogramming. Okay. This can also go with the deconditioning process. But some people could experience this shock value. Even, finding out if you go, depending on how far you're going to be going in your deprogramming phases. I mean, we speak a lot of stuff on truth about people, and we try to educate people with what's really going on out in the world. At the end of the day, you can take whatever we say. I love the meme I came across one time. One person can tell you it's raining, the other person can tell you it's not. Doesn't matter. It's not our job. It's your job to get up to see which one is right at the end of the day. Yeah. So it's important to go through this because the stages of
this, Jen, how do we read this? Do we read this from the left side all the way down and back up to the right side? Or
yes. So at the very beginning of any type of deprogramming, and this goes for survivors from, even waking up to who you truly are, to coming out of an abusive situation, and being told you're a certain way, and you're really not. Your whole life can be pretty traumatic to some people, but you could possibly experience loss, hurt, and shock. Sometimes it follows this pattern, sometimes it doesn't. So take what resonates. But you may go through a searching thing. You may have a period where you're in fear, anger. This is something that I am recognizing right now that's coming up a lot in me, but not only for my design, but there are like energetic cords. Also, guys, I want to point out that these emotions, real quick, I think that we should talk about what emotions are. When you have these things, they're energetic pulses in your body that sometimes need to be released, and they are released in these type of emotions. So you could possibly experience this, sometimes loneliness, guilt, and isolation. Dan, you've been doing human design for 12 years now, correct?
I'm in my 14th year.
14th?
Yep.
How many, when you were going through your phases, Do any of
I'm,
these
yeah,
resonate?
that's what I'm looking at for right now. Um, uh, Shock. I remember shock. I remember denial. I remember numbness, emotional outbursts. Well, those are conditioned into me, but I remember them. I remember anger. Fear is one of the easiest ones to like, that one stood out. I remember being deathly afraid at a time or two. Oh my God, what's happening to me as the universe cracked, you know? And searching, that was easy. Searching is, that's, everyone's going to have that one. Disorganization, sure, that comes with too muchness.
Yes, yes.
Hey, when you're 5 years old and you got one thing because you're playing with blocks, you're not all that disorganized even at 5, you know?
Yeah.
Panic, I remember moments of panic. Loneliness, not so much, and isolation. Guilt, sure.
Some people can experience this. I know, like, those who follow me, I talk a lot about star seeds and light workers. And when you go through this awakening process, some people wake up to their family not understanding who they are. So they lose a lot of people. So that loneliness can set in, and periods of isolation. I'm coming out of a period of isolation myself.
Yeah, I can see that. And the loneliness and the isolation. So I'm a second line personality. So loneliness and isolation actually are easier on me in that way, because I'm naturally a hermit already. But I do remember the loneliness. I felt the profundity of starting to recognize. See, I had to dig into my archives to get the ones on the left. I remember them. I was sitting there going through a memory pattern and saying, okay, they're there, good.
Mhm.
But what I really remember a lot more of is where it's been for a while. So I remember the loneliness started to come in, and that would have been the first thing. And I remember that realizing, oh my God, uh, I there's hardly anyone I can talk to except superficially. And certainly as it relates to anything like romantic or this or that, it would be like, as soon as someone, there's been chances on me, for me, and every time someone opens their mouth, I would realize, oh my God, I can't teach them.
Yes, we had
I
this
can't teach them and date
conversation.
them at the same time. That's not going to happen.
Well, remember when we met at Camp D, and I said, "Oh my God, you can see the matrix." That's amazing. You said it's a gift and
You
a
said that
curse.
to me.
It's
I
a
sort
gift.
of remember that. Yeah.
Yes, you said it's a gift and a curse. And I can understand that, because it's something I've had to learn how to have conversations with people, because when I was talking, and me and you have experienced this where you've said something and it's like way over my head. And what happens, what it is, and I'm aware of what it is it's cognitive dissonance coming in. And that cognitive dissonance is where you get triggered. And that's why I said earlier, pay attention to your triggers, because all that is, it's like a train wreck that happens in your head, and you get agitated because it triggers an emotional response in your body. So then normal reactions is you either get snippy or you shut down. But and I may react that way, but when I take a moment with myself, I ask myself, why did I get triggered? Where did that come from? And why am I rejecting this information? That is why your triggers are going to be your greatest teachers, because under that trigger is all of this, all of this, all of this. And at the end of the day, me and Dan even said this, we had this conversation. We don't know. The only thing that you know is what happens in your personal world and what you personally experience. But if you're not paying attention because you have all this conditioned programming in the way, then you're not going to know what your triggers are, what's conditioned, who you truly are, to embrace all this stuff on this side.
Right. Re-entry and troubles, new relationships that I'm really super familiar with, and then the new strengths and the new patterns. I love how hope is in here. So of all the things that are, in a way, less tangible, hope stands out the most. Shock is tangible. Numbness, I guess that's subjective, but denial, anger, fear, these are so tangible. Hope is just such a beautiful thing. It's just such a, it runs this joint in no small way.
It's important that we have this,
Yeah.
is hope. Because after this hope, we have this affirmation and we have this helping others. And this right here, I feel, is where we are, me and you, like what we are doing, because we are here to help others do this whole deconditioning and deprogramming out of the matrix.
Yeah, and something occurred to me is to really point out and drive home. First of all, you made a great keynote, and I have it footnoted, so I'll bring it up at the end. Train wreck in the head. But to make this really important point to people, and to myself and you, and that we don't really need to get very far into the process, because the first step is about the first 10,000 miles. And everything after that is another click, a couple more miles, A, and B, just witnessing a little bit going in really steers the collective. It really steers the body, the body Earth. The body of Earth is steered by just starting to move in the right direction. Never mind having gotten there. Oh, we're not done yet. Oh, I'm not awake yet. Oh, I haven't gotten all the things yet. Oh, whatever. All the things we can point to that we're not yet. It didn't matter. Just a little bit of steering. Like an ounce of steering on us causes the oligarchical elite to have to spend 10,000 pounds of whatever to make it, an ounce of prevention is worth 10,000 pounds of cure in this way. Yeah, because what do they have to do just to stop a little bit of awakeness? Look what they do. I mean, we've just scratched the surface. We started waking up, and look what they've done, Jen. They've had to organize the whole machine all day. They've got minions 24/7 working all day to control this little movement that we've had.
Yes.
Actually, a lot of movement. I don't mean to belittle it. For all I know, it's been a fantastic amount of movement. I guess I'm not the right one to judge, but think about it.
Well, when you wake up, when you because my awakening experience was a divine experience. It wasn't just through human design, even though when we did have our first session, I specifically remember that, oh my gosh, this is the program, because I have had moments of witnessing, and I love how you said that. It's the witnessing. When you do wake up, you will start to notice if you are witnessing, and that's not an easy thing. And I really want to talk a lot about mindfulness, because if I was not a mindfulness practitioner, if I was not being mindful, I would not have noticed it so much. But when you are witnessing and in the moment, you'll start to see that after you wake up, that there is a program running. But that when you're awake, the program does not quite like that you're awake, because you are going to do something to disrupt that program. And I really wanted to put this in here, because this is like a rough estimate of how long the deconditioning process works. It's about 7 years, and that's because scientifically, it takes like 7 years
to turn
for
over
our cells to
turn over all the cells, for all the cells in your body, to the ones that are going to die off at the rate they die off before they're replenished, for that to happen everywhere.
Right.
The good news is I do know that like in the first just 5 months or 6 months, about a third of all our human cells have turned over. So
yes, well, you can
turning over rapidly, you know what I mean? Skin cells.
Well, there's amazing things that you can do when you start to breath work, affirmations, talking to yourselves. I talk to myself. I talk to my water that helps affect my cells. all sorts of different things that you can do to help speed up this process. So 7 years is kind of a rough estimate, but I think, and it's not, and just to clarify, guys, it's not 7 years to go through this whole thing. These are stages that you could experience, but it's not something that's going to happen overnight. And as long as I have been on this journey, which, I had my divine experience about 6 years ago. Well, it was 6 years ago now. And that really cracked me wide open. Sorry, now my dogs are gonna bark. It's taken me a moment.
Let them bark, Jen. I see the process though, and you're right. It doesn't have to take the whole 7 years. It really doesn't. It can take, I mean, when I say have to take the whole 7 years, what it ends up doing is it's a process, and you'll see so much happen in the first little bit. As long as you take that first 10,000 mile step.
Yes.
Yeah.
So to wrap up this, what are some ways that we can support the deconditioning process to help get people started? I came up with some ideas. One is, first and foremost, if you have not already had a session with Dan, please make sure that you do. The link will be below this video in the description. So definitely reach out to him, book your session, and he can help, start that first step into really understanding who you are. Second would be, and I feel like we do need to do more videos on following the strategies and authority.
Can I make a suggestion, Jen?
Yes.
Add know your type and then follow your strategy and authority.
Okay.
Yeah, because they really all go together. It's a trinity. Know your type and your strategy and your authority.
Yes. Know your type, follow your strategy and authority.
Yep.
Understanding the ways that we are conditioning. We're going to have a special guest next week to join us, that we're going to talk about some dark psychology.
Is that Lee? Is Lee coming on?
Yes, Lee's definitely going to be coming on.
Oh, this is good.
And look into mindfulness, hypnotherapy, and a quantum coach to help you start reprogramming. Because once you start to change the patterns that you're doing, you're going to actually be rewiring your brain to do certain things, habitual stuff that people get up. One of the programs that I have been breaking out of that is actually following my strategy and authority is that my morning routine. So I feel that if I am not up by a certain time and I am at the gym by a certain time, that I can't go for that day because I'm in this program that I have to do that. However, my design, I'm not supposed to plan my mornings. I'm actually supposed to get up and do what I feel like, and whatever brings me peace, go with that.
That's
go
exactly
with that
right.
flow.
That's amazing.
Well, the past 2 mornings I've been doing that, and I've actually been more productive. And my mornings have started off a lot smoother, and I am at peace. I'm not at, I'm getting out of my mind because I know that was a program that was running. And to be honest, I don't even know where that program came in.
It's leftover stuff, mutated and gobbledygooked in a rotten leftover soup that they left out on the counter called the old way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Centuries of mold have caked on top of this thing. So it's a little bit, right.
Yep. It's still operating in that 3D matrix, and I work from home. So I'm not in the 3D matrix, but guys, just to let you know, because we don't really talk about it much, but definitely go check out Rise University if you guys are interested. Me and Dan are really talking about doing something like a program to really help y'all with the whole deconditioning process, to give you a safe container to help you flower into who you truly are. It's not easy. There's so many different tools and techniques out there. Really go with what resonates with you, who you feel comfortable. But it is important that we do start the deconditioning process, however that is.
Go back full screen again if we're done.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna go
This is
full
five. Because the last one on there, focus on your triggers. That's
focus on your triggers.
yes. So you just identified a thing through your understanding and it became a tool. So I think people will be able to invent their own toolkits simply by recognizing that they have a type of strategy and authority and they're sort of navigating and they have all the other things that they've known through all this time and triggers back to that head. Which we started with there's too muchness and then you called it the train wreck in your mind.
Train wreck in your mind.
Yeah, so when that train wreck comes along, it's a perfect time to recognize there's a train wreck. Not what am
Yes.
I gonna do about it, just see it. Hey, there is
Witness
a train
it.
wreck. Yeah, witness it. There is a train wreck. I feel like crap. There's a train wreck in my head. And every time I see the thing, it goes away. It starts to diminish. It disorganizes at a rate. That's a great way to say that. Sometimes it's just super speedy. Like it just fully disorganizes and evaporates. Seeing it always does that.
Yes. So that I think that I love how you had said that. I can't remember the first time I heard you say that, but seeing it kills it.
Yeah.
It is bringing that awareness. And that's a skill that it is a skill. It's not easy when you're very, guys, anything, especially with your triggers. And that's how Rise University came about, because you are your own guru. We can give you the information, but at the end of the day, until you start to really tap into who you are inside, which is, these are tools, triggers is the best doorway to walk through, because it's going to be something that you're aware. You're going to have an emotional reaction. Most people just have the emotional reaction without even knowing what it is. Now that we've said it, we can bring this to your awareness so that next time it happens, even if you react, if you are like, some people, they'll have an emotional outburst, whatever, take a moment to yourself and sit with that. Bring it to your awareness. Really start to ask yourself deep questions. What am I triggered about? Why did it make me feel that way? What did that other person do? Know that nobody can make you feel a certain way. The only person that makes you feel that way is you.
Right.
It is you.
It's so true.
And how that happens? You triggered, you were operating out a lot of memory and data.
Right. And that memory and data is of the old way. Oh, good God, it all ties in. I love that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I think we did an excellent job on this, Dan.
Yes, thank God. You go Hugh Len too, man. Do the kudos, special kudos, because we seem to footnote him, and you certainly footnote him often. I love it.
Pluto?
Hugh Len. Hugh Len, the
Oh yes, Doctor. Well, I'm an Ho'oponopono practitioner. So
right.
Guys, through all the mindfulness, all the packages or the coaching that I do with the mindfulness, I incorporate Ho'oponopono. It is one of my favorite tools in my toolbox to pull out, to use, because it's something that I really recognized even going through that training. And I feel like a lot of people, I see a lot of videos on YouTube about Ho'oponopono and saying a mantra, but no one really talks about why it works and the quantum effect that it has. And it is about getting out of the law of memory and data, which everybody is operating from, and getting into the law of inspiration. Anything that you are having in your etheric field is because it's being attracted to you. That's why. And the reasons it's being attracted to you, you don't know because you have this experience, you have past experiences. I mean, you're a ball of energy. So that's been here for a very, very long time. So who knows what you have in your etheric field. However, human design can help show you how to navigate those experiences a lot easier. And we can help get to the core of things and help you with the deconditioning process through quantum healing techniques, mindfulness, and Ho'oponopono.
Absolutely. Just well put.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining this video. If you liked it, please make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. All of our links will be posted down below. We are going to be launching a new website soon and all sorts of different goodies to help you on your human design and deconditioning process. If there's a topic that you would like to see, something that you need help with, please drop it down below. We really want to keep these fireside chats to give you a bunch of tools to put in your toolbox to help you not only with the deconditioning process, but just plain old life skills, because I think we need a lot more, what was that word? Hope.
Hope.
In this world.
We need some hopium.
We need some hoping.
Golden hopium showering down. Yep.
Yes. Well, we're going to bring that, Dan.
Yep.
So thank you guys for joining us. Until next time, bye.
You bet.